There were less than, I think, 500,000 people back when I was growing up in Atlanta. And now, of course, we're 6.5 or 7 million. And with the population growth, you've seen the construction practice grow because of the building that has gone on.
Atlanta was having a unique post-war building boom, and no other city had anything comparable to that. Remember, the South had been depressed, and all of a sudden, the South began to grow, and Atlanta began to grow, and it had all these buildings. There was a period of high inflation, changes in technology. The lawyers who were on the scene then were inevitably drawn into all of this litigation, and it was unique to Atlanta. Atlanta businesses realized that maybe conventions, big economic drivers, but Atlanta could not be a good convention city, number one, if it was segregated, and number two, if it couldn't serve mixed drinks. But Atlanta desegregated voluntarily before the Civil Rights Act required public accommodations to do this, and it got mixed drinks, and Atlanta became one of the great convention cities of the country, and that helped with Atlanta's growth. In the days when I came to Atlanta, nobody specialized. Every lawyer who came with my law firm was required to practice every kind of law that existed at the time. They wanted us to be well-rounded. And of course, at that time, there was absolutely no such thing as construction law. And so over the years, as Atlanta grew and as there was more and more construction and construction problems somehow or another got more prolific, I was just doing more and more construction work almost by accident.
That's another unique thing about practicing construction law in Atlanta. There's so many international companies that have located their headquarters here. It's only natural that they would turn to their local law firm and ask them to get involved in these projects. And at this time, the larger law firms like King and Spalding were beginning to see potential with construction law practices. Before that, construction law was practiced by the boutique firms like Smith, Curry, and Hancock.
Maynard Smith was the founding partner of a firm called Smith, Swift, Curry, McGee, and Hires. Amos Sanford had had a job which required a substantial amount of earth moving, and he encountered underground water conditions. He had gone to see Maynard and said, "Is there any way I can get paid for too much rain?" Maynard told him, said, "Well, I've got a new lawyer here named Overton Curry. Let me put him on it." And they discovered that the water source was an elevation in the Florida aquifer. They presented that to the Corps of Engineers. The Corps of Engineers paid Amos Sanford a nice settlement. That experience is why Overton Curry became a construction lawyer.
One of the key sources for me as a young lawyer get into the construction practice area goes back to the grandfather of construction here in Atlanta, Overton Curry. That's how I learned. We're going through these seminars that he and others put on through federal publications, where they would cover these subjects from the view of those experts from outside of Atlanta were teaching to those of us who were interested in learning in Atlanta. Overton learned. He started sharing that through the forum programs and other sources, and you would go to these and learn about the whole process.
Bob Myers from Dallas, I just loved him. At a very early, I think it was probably an American Bar Association real estate seminar, but it happened to be talking about construction. And he said the unique thing about the construction practice and representing people in the construction industry is that the construction project moves. From day to day, it's different. And it's just like a flowing river of events. And if you don't understand that dynamic, how that happens, you won't understand how these problems arise.
The construction process is a process that's very vulnerable to disputes because it requires the cooperation of so many different layers of parties. You got people who design buildings, you got people who build them, you got suppliers who provide materials that are going to go into the buildings, and all that process has to come together and run smoothly in order to have a successful project in which all participants have a financial stake, and therefore, if it doesn't go smoothly, they're going to lose money.
We were the beneficiaries of this tremendous growth that was occurring in Atlanta, and in the early years, Atlanta was unique in the explosion of construction. The South had been held back for years by all kinds of economic forces. Finally, the South began to grow in the 50s and kept growing in the 60s, and all of that growing was coming through Atlanta. So Atlanta needed a lot of buildings, and growth is wonderful for law practice. Gives lawyers lots of opportunities.
The industry is evolving into new and very exciting areas. BIM, building information modeling, where they can build a building literally virtually on a computer. 3D printing is going to be another wholly new technology for building projects. Environmental concerns now are leading to whole new areas of practice being developed for construction lawyers. I think there's a tremendous potential for construction lawyers, and I think it's a very exciting potential.
Hi, I'm Peter Crofton, Chair of the State Bar of Georgia's Construction Law Section. Thank you for watching this video about how Georgia lawyers have helped create the practice that we know today as construction law, and how those lawyers have helped turn the city of Atlanta into the metropolis that we see today.
And I'm Greg Smith. I am the Vice Chair for the Construction Law Section of the State Bar. We as construction lawyers in Atlanta and in Georgia stand on the shoulders of these pioneers of our industry. When we created the Construction Law Section for the State Bar last year, Peter, I know a very important part of that was this oral history project. Tell us more about why you really wanted that to be part of the section.
I've been privileged to know many of these pioneers, but not all of our lawyers, and in particular the younger ones and the ones that will join in the future will not have that privilege. It's important to capture this history, not just for the sake of creating a historical record, but because our history shapes our future.
If you'd like to know more about these oral histories, or if you just want to know more about the Construction Law Section for the State Bar, please feel free to reach out to Peter, me, or the State Bar.
A special thanks to the firms that have helped sponsor and make this oral history project possible, and thank you.